Okay. Hello. This is She That Exists, her story channel. And this is She That Exists herself. And I am She That Exists because I exist. Okay. Now, this is number 2 of Soul Recovery, Soul Survivors, and Soul Family Companions of Destiny. And this is for the souls that are survivors, those of us who've been through a lot, those of us who are in recovery, those of us seeking soul family, those of us seeking to connect with what is real and loving and kind and compassionate and gentle. And in the Companions of Destiny number 1, I talked about authenticity. We talked about our power, being in our power, sitting back and just being in silence and just feeling our power and focusing on the power that is within us. And then I also chose a creator card, which expressed what would you choose if you had nothing to lose. And then we also talked about, I talked about support and what that means as far as allowing the universe to support us, allowing support to come in from different channels, different people, different hearts and souls, and from the heavenly realms. And I want to go deeper into authenticity because I know that with universal law that if it resonates with you, then this is the place to be. But it's time for me to come out more with my authentic self. And last time I was in my pajamas, and of course, I'm just coming on with my face and who I am. There are no masks, and I am sharing in this way to be more authentic with myself, more authentic with the souls that are in the world right now, and where authenticity comes in and where our power comes in. And what would we choose if we had nothing to lose? For those of us who are coming together who need support, this is really important. So as I share and as I share from my heart and my soul, I'm going to be sharing truths from my life. And I have sat back in a place where I have kept my lifelong abuse as a child, the domestic abuse in my marriage to myself, and the abuse and the molestation of my daughter, and the fact that my daughter's been stolen and trafficked. I've kept that inside, and I want to be able to share authentically with everybody because I know that through my pain and my suffering, and through me holding all of this in and coming out and finally sharing it, I hope to be able to help or support others in their lives who are also recovering, whether it's from pedophilia, molestation as a child, mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, domestic abuse, whether, these things happened as a child or as a teenager, as an adult. I was abused as a child. I never got healing for that. It was just covered over, as most childhood abuse is covered over. And this is my way of being authentic with myself and providing a space for others to be able to meet in a place that's authentic and real with someone who is authentic and real. And our body is our temple. Our body is our temple. And for those of us who have experienced near abuse or trauma as a child, that is something that was stolen from us, our purity, our essence, our power. And if anybody who is connecting, this resonates to, you feel like that your power was taken from you as a child or at some point in your life, this is an opportunity for connection to be able to reclaim your power. And I am reclaiming my power by speaking out and sharing my story as She That Exists, her story channel. And this is for those who are ready to reclaim their power, who are ready to share their story, who are no longer wanting to suffer in silence alone. And last time in Soul Recovery Survivors and Family Companions of Destiny #1, I pulled the What Would You Choose If We Had Nothing to Lose? And I'm choosing to speak for my daughter, Freedom Grace. I'm choosing to speak for me. And I'm choosing to voice for other survivors of childhood abuse or domestic violence. And I know that that support is needed. So this is a chance to receive support. This is a chance to ask for support, and this is a chance to just come into a place that's safe. To be able to talk about these things, because a lot of childhood abuse and a lot of domestic violence and abuse is brushed over, and people don't talk about it, and it's hidden and it's swept under the rug and nobody wants to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it here because it's what's real, and it's what's absolutely true for some. And pedophilia actually is the elephant in the room in America, or the landmass of America. And a lot of people are coming out with childhood abuse, and they're getting their memories back a lot of times, most of the time. And that's just how the mind works when a child experiences severe trauma, that it's repressed. And I did not start getting my memories back of my childhood abuse until I was in my 30s. That's when I started getting memories back. And I was taught that love was abuse. I was taught that mental abuse was love, emotional abuse was love. I was ruled by domination and control, fear, threat. And it really did a number on me as a child, especially being empathic and sensitive. I was not supported in my gifts. I was not taught about my power. I was not taught about my gifts or my abilities, or who I am. And I know that I'm not the only one. So I'm sharing my story because this is She That Exists, Her Story channel. But I also know that this is our story as survivors, our stories as survivors. And I know that we are silenced into submission whenever we are abused or our souls are misused. And so I am doing this because I know I'm not the only one, and this is a way to reclaim our power by shining light on the darkness and the shadows of what's going on in families all across the world. I know it just wasn't in my home. So I'm going to pull a card for us from the Creator cards and go deeper. I'd love to know more about whoever is gathering in these soul gatherings, I call them, for those in soul recovery or survivors or soul family. And let's see what the cards have for us. So this is very similar to last time in #1. But what will you choose, knowing that today is the first day of your life? Man, if today is the first day of my life and I woke up and this is my life, I would choose to do what I'm doing, which is creating art, sacred geometry art, meditation art, and I do offer that as one of my offerings to the world. So what would you do? What would you do if it was the first day of your life? For me, I'm going to continue to speak for my daughter, Freedom Grace, and I'm going to continue sharing stories as a survivor and what has gone on in my life. And I'd love to hear a response from others, what you would do. And see, this is related. What would you choose if you didn't need to justify or explain your choice to anyone? And I think that's beautiful, because we don't have to justify or explain our choices to anyone. I've sat back in silence and in fear of my life for some time now, because my former husband has a spiritual sickness. And even though we divorced 10 years ago, when I left the marriage, He promised that if I left the marriage, he'd use every available weapon in his arsenal to wage war against me and my family. And he did. He also promised that he would get back at me and he would steal my child. And he did. And he did it through fear, threat, coercion, fraud. He did it unlawfully. He did it in ways just were terroristic. He declared war on my life. Every type of fear mongering and warmongering one could think of, he did. And I'm speaking out because I've been sitting back in suffering, and nobody knows the truth because I've been sitting back in fear. His friends, his associations, his father, they all cover for him. My daughter, the last time I saw her, she told me that her father molested her and he abused her. And my ex-father-in-law, or my former father-in-law, whenever I told him that my daughter told me that he molested her and he abused her, I just got pushed down, degraded. He said, "You never were a good mother," that type of thing. And he showed his true gray. He didn't take up for my daughter. He didn't do anything to protect me or my daughter. And he is letting my daughter be in a situation where she's with her abuser. And then he changed his phone number. And so what I realized is pedophiles cover for each other. Abusers cover for each other. And I don't need permission. I don't need to justify myself. I don't need anything, because what I need is for my daughter to be home safe. And my daughter needs to be home safe with me in a loving, nurturing, caring environment. And she's not getting any mental, emotional, or spiritual or soul care where she's at now. In fact, it's just another story of where abuse has just been swept under the rug, and mind control and MK Ultra, and a child walking around in trauma and losing her memories. Um, and it's just, I'm not going to sit back while my daughter becomes lost and so lost and fractured and not say anything. I'm to the point now where if my former husband decides, he wants to murder me or kill me, so be it. At least I spoke out for my daughter's life. At least I spoke out for my life. And I know I'm not the only one in this situation. So these are questions just to go deeper into within yourself. And I'm sharing true stories from my life because authenticity is important. And there's a lot of people out there who they wear masks and they just put a mask forward in society or into the world that isn't their true selves and who they are. And they wear a smile. Meanwhile, they're deeply hurting inside. And I wake up and I cry every day. I cry every day missing my daughter. The school is covering for her human trafficking and her kidnapping, and these happen, through different states. So these are federal crimes and felonies, but they're more than that. They're soul crimes, and so I'm sharing authentically because the way universal law works is universal law of attraction, that those who are in resonancy will resonate with this, the souls that need comfort, the souls that have been through any misuse of their spirit. In my case, severe narcissistic sociopathic abuse. I was born into a mentally ill and emotionally dis-ease family, soul loss, and it's intergenerational. I was ritually abused as a child. I was born into a materialistic family where the only thing that was real was materialism, as in name brand clothes, name brand cars, you name it. Materialism, the Luciferian dollars, that's all that was real. That's all that existed. Feelings didn't matter. Nothing emotional mattered. No feelings mattered. In fact, whenever I tried to talk about my feelings, or I tried to talk about my pain or anything that I'd gone through from the misuse of my spirit, they would say to me, "We don't talk about that spiritual stuff. We don't talk about that spiritual stuff." And I would say, "It's not spiritual. It's me. This is my heart. This is my soul. This is my being. This is who I am." And that was a good indicator once I got older that there was something going on that wasn't right, that if it doesn't feel good to our spirit, if it doesn't feel good to our soul, then it's time to go. And our feelings and our emotions are a very good indicator if we're in a situation that's healthy for us or not. In my daughter's case, the last time I saw my daughter before she was trafficked, I've mentioned this before, she cried for 3 days straight. It was the most painful thing I've ever had to experience as a mom. And then that's when she expressed to me that her father had abused her. And her exact words were that he broke her feelers. And our feelers and our sensors are very important, because if our feelers are broken, then how can we know that we're in a situation that's unhealthy for us, that's abuse? Our bodies are temple. And when children are the pedophiles, whenever they ritually abuse children, that's the first thing that goes, is the child's feelers are broken and destroyed, because the body is the temple. Our body is our temple, and our feelers are meant to protect us. Our feelers are a first line of defense to protect us, to let us know when we're in situations that are abusive. And so, Freedom Grace, I want you to know that even though you're in a situation right now and you've been covering for your abuser, it's okay, and that I love you very much. And now that I'm back in my body and alive again, I'm speaking for you, I'm speaking for me, and I'm shining a light so these intergenerational curses no longer continue to exist. I've been going deep on how to break intergenerational curses such as these. And I've been going deep on my former husband, who's just severely broken, fractured, wounded. And I know he's a lost boy, and that something severely bad must have happened to him in his childhood for him to molest his own child and to break his own child's feelers and destroy her feelers and her sacred body temple in that way. And I'm getting this out here because the only way to heal and to end generational curses of pedophilia and ritual childhood abuse and traumatizing innocent ones is to voice and to speak and to shine light on the situation. I'll draw one more card from the Creator cards, and we'll see what comes through. What would you choose if there were no rules inside of you? That's a good one. What would you choose if there were no rules inside of you? So many of us were taught to be silent. So many of us were taught these rules, like we had to be quiet, we had to suppress, we had to hold things down, these rules that were inside of us. We were taught not to talk about what goes on in the family. We were taught not to talk about what goes on inside the four walls of our home. We were taught not to talk about not to talk about it. Suppression, silence, suppression, silence, suppression, silence, suppression, silence, suppression, silence, suppression, silence. So if there were no rules, what would you do? What would you talk about? And for me, there are no rules. I am speaking for my daughter, Freedom Grace, and I'm speaking for myself, and I'm no longer being a victim to my abusers and those who have misused my spirit, those who have misused my light, those who have misused my love, those who have misused my gifts and who I am. And I would love connection and for those to respond as far as these questions that have come through the cards, and to go deeper into your soul and who you are. I have these Power of Surrender cards. They're pretty cool. So I like to draw from the Power of Surrender deck. It's written by Judith Orloff, MD, and she wrote an amazing book about the empath survivor guide. And I'm an empath. If one doesn't know what an empath is, maybe research it or ask a question. Maybe I can share in another video about empaths and highly sensitive beings and the gifts that we have, because I know many others who are empathic or highly sensitive beings, and they don't know that they are. They feel like that it's a curse because they feel too much or they sense too much. But basically, empaths, we can feel the emotions and the energies and the thought forms or the emotions of others. So it's a really wonderful gift. We just have to know about our gifts and how to use our gifts. And So I'm going to pull from these power surrender cards because they're fun. And so let's see, just for the collective through the universal law of attraction, for those who are interested in universal law. The movie The Secret talked about the law of attraction, but what they didn't mention is that there are other universal laws as well. And so just through the universal law of attraction, those who are resonating, this is for all of us. Let's see what we could benefit from in surrendering at this time, because we can all benefit by surrendering something, right? It's always time to let go and surrender. And surrendering's not giving up. Surrendering is actually a way to empower ourselves and to become in alignment with the universe and the pronoia of the universe, that everything in the universe is conspiring to support us. And so let's see. Surrender to passion. And it reads, get out of your head and feel the fire in your belly. Focus on the people or activities that ignite your passion and let it flow. This is really, 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 really important, because I know a lot of us, we tend to get stuck in our head in the reoccurring thought forms and maybe looping thought forms inside of our head, those reoccurring thoughts that just kind of loop, and we get stuck in it like a hamster cage or a hamster wheel. And so getting out of our head into the heart, into the fire of our belly and our passion and what we love, and focus on people and activities that ignite our passion and let it flow. If anyone who is connecting in this way, only be with those who appreciate you. Only give your time and energy and your heart, your soul, and your being to those who value you. It was a valuable lesson in my life, and this is me being authentic. But I found myself giving myself away to people who didn't value me, who didn't truly appreciate me. And I spent a lot of time thinking, oh, I need to heal the world, I need to help others. But then I learned to only surround myself with others who it's mutually beneficial, that they feed my soul as well. Because what happens, those of us who tend to be caregivers like I am, is we tend to pour into others and give ourselves away, and then we're empty, and then we're like, oh, where did she go? That's what happened to me. And so it's been an interesting journey in that way. And so be with others who support your fire, who support your flame, who ignite your fire, to ignite your flame. And passion is a desire to live. Passion, everything is energy. So that passion is that desire to live. That passion is that desire to live full out. And this goes back to that question, what would you decide if today was the first day of your life and there were no rules? And I would love it if those who are connecting respond like, what would you choose if today were the first day of your life and there were no rules? There was nobody to stop you. There was nobody to tell you what to do. There was nobody to suppress you. There was nobody to push you down. All of those who are pushing others around or suppressing others, they're hurting deeply inside too. And I'll share more about my daughter's story and my life story and my former husband, who I call Lost Boy, in my story, because he's truly lost. He's truly, truly, truly lost. And I have nothing but compassion for him. But at the same time, I have to get my daughter home in a safe place so that she can heal from this abuse and this trauma, because she's been thrown around and she's been treated like a pawn in a war. And that's no way to treat a child. Children are to be treated as holy and sacred. And so I'm being authentic with my real life story, because it's time that I heal, and it's time that others who have been in hiding or suppressing from abuses done in their life and misuses of their spirit have an opportunity to heal as well. So I shine my light and I share this truth in my story, and for the healing of others, because this is our story. This is our story as survivors and those of us in recovery. And I've been in recovery for some time now. I've actually had agoraphobia, where I was absolutely petrified just to leave the house. And so this is a big step for me, but it's time to take it. Right now I'm drawing from Don Miguel Ruiz, the 4 agreement cards. He is a Toltec wisdom keeper. And let's see. Let's just share a little bit of wisdom because it's fun. These cards are fun. It's a great way to learn. It's fun. And I'm a sacred educator, and educate in etymology means to lead out. As I mentioned in my last video, that all education really up until this point, especially government education, is indoctrination to control the mind, to enslave, to cause others to submit, to condition them, to take our power, to take our creativity, to kill imagination. So I'm here to restore information. I'm here to restore sacred knowledge and to share sacred knowledge, wisdom, education, to empower inspiration, to inspire those to come back into their creativity, and to teach also the power of imagination. I would love it for comments or for those to answer the questions, to go deeper within yourself. And let's see. Learn to ask questions. I love it. Ask questions. It's always better to ask questions than to make assumptions. Have the courage to ask questions. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was there. Have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be. Once you hear the answer to a question, you won't have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. And release the power of your word. Your word is the power that you have to create. It is a gift that comes directly from God. And I'll go deeper into that next time. This is number 2. Each video will go deeper into the last video and introduce new topics and subjects. And as a sacred educator, I'm here to lead people out of enslavement, mental, emotional enslavement. A lot of us, we don't realize that we're born into a system that's created for failure. We're born into a system that is created to enslave us mentally and emotionally. We're born into a system that is miscreated to kill our imagination and our creative abilities. And we weren't taught that we are co-creators in the universe, that we are co-creators with the divine. And we're more powerful than we know. And I'm going to leave it at this because this kind of popped out, and it's really important because this is where I'm at as far as stepping forward in my own authenticity and reclaiming my own power, and saying to those who have misused me my whole entire life, my family and my former husband, is that I'm immune to the opinions of others. So what others say and do is a projection of their own reality. My former husband, whenever he, through threat, intimidation, and fear, when he human trafficked our daughter, I have a recording when he called me and he said, "We have to do what they say, Carrie. We have to do what they say." And I said, "I don't have to do what anybody says, but I think that he has to do what they say because he's in some kind of contract and agreement with some Freemasons." That's the only thing I could think of, because he told me he would go to these dinner parties with his dad. And then I started doing more research and more research and more research and educating myself. And then I realized what was going on and how he gave his power away. And it's a rabbit hole for sure. But then that's when I realized that was a projection of his reality, that he was being controlled by these dark entities, these lesser light beings who are pedophiles, who are trafficking children for their own dark satanic ritual purposes. And so this was his reality, and a lot of people have projected on me, and I've taken it, and I thought that I was less than. I thought there was something wrong with me. But then I learned that that's what they're doing. They're projecting their own reality. And because I'm a sensitive being and I'm empathic, I was taking it all in, and I was taking in their poison and internalizing it as if it were my own. says, when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. And I have another video that I created to educate that's for those who are suffering in silence, because I've been suffering in silence for a long time. And this is my way to come out to share, because I'm choosing to no longer suffer in silence. And I'm also choosing to voice for my life, and to voice for my daughter, and to voice for other survivors of childhood ritual abuse and pedophilia and mental abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, you name it, because it's an epidemic right now. And many do not want to talk about this subject. It's too hard for them to connect with. It's too hard for them to even go into, but it's real. And pedophilia and satanic ritual abuse is definitely more rampant than people even know. And in time, it's going to come out even more so. So let's just all be prepared, because a lot of us and out there, we're going to start getting our memories back. What happened to us in childhood, and so I want to be here for those who have started getting and retrieving memories back of past abuse, who are in abusive situations right now. I pulled 2 angel cards because I just love these angel cards, and one of them is healing, which we are coming together in this space and activating healing. Says, release the thought patterns of duality, look inside and bless yourself with love, saturate each of your cells with this power. Tomorrow I'm going to come on here and we're going to do a blessing ceremony over ourselves, because our body is temple. And we're going to come together in the space and saturate ourselves with this power of love. Message me if you'd like to be a part of it. And then I can create an announcement and what time it's going to take place. I also draw balance. It says, we are with you, even though you sometimes think you're all alone and in a huge demanding experience. We are here. Feel us, center yourself. And I know it feels like we're alone a lot, and we're not. We have each other. And for one, I am through isolating myself. And this is a way for me to connect with the world again. This is a way for me to connect with other like-minded beings, souls, soul family, and those of us who are in recovery. Oops, I pushed a button that made my screen really small. So I'm trying to figure out how to get it back up. Just please be patient with me. Oh, there, I got it. Okay. So tomorrow I'll be back on. We will do a blessing ceremony to where we're going to bless ourselves, and we're going to energize ourselves, and we're going to energize ourselves with love. And I feel very humbled that came up, and I had this opportunity to bring this into this space. What we send out, it reverberates across the world. And so I'm sending out love. I'm sending out compassion. I'm sending out grace. I'm sending out healing. I'm sending out hope. I'm sending out faith. I'm sending out the power of love, because love is more powerful than death. And the lost boy in my sacred divine love story for me and my daughter's life, I'm sending out healing to you and awakening to you. And to let you know, Scott, that I'm not your enemy. I'm your ally, and I'm your friend. And Scott is my former husband and my daughter's dad, who I mentioned. And I just want him to get some help. I want him to send my daughter, my daughter, back home with me, her mother, so she can get some soul healing and some trauma healing, so she can come back into her body. Because right now she is MK Ultra, she's fractured, she has soul loss. And the people covering for her abuse, the people covering for her human trafficking, the ones who are covering for my former husband and allowing my daughter to be abused, they're going to be responsible in this way as well. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I want to share out that love is more powerful than death. Love is more powerful than death. Love is more powerful than death. And I have much great empathy and compassion for my former husband, even though he has abused my daughter. I'm just wanting him to send her back home so I can help her heal and provide her with soul retrieval and healing. And these are my gifts. This is what I do best. I'm creating healing arts, care packages, and frequency art, and meditation art, and soul care art. So contact me if you would like to order something custom in that way, or you know somebody who you would love to gift a custom care package for. Love is more powerful than death. We can change the world together, and we can make a difference. So for those who come here and feel this resonancy, reach out, answer the questions, ask questions, go deeper inside, share with me your gifts, your insights. Uh, and tomorrow, soul activation and a soul blessing. And we're going to bless our body temple, and we are going to activate ourselves and bless ourselves with love, and go deeper into that. And that is all. This is She That Exists, her story channel, and I exist, and we exist, and love is more powerful than death. And I'll leave it at that.